Kevin Feige is doing his best to get the MCU back on track, and obviously they can't do it with that original Avengers team. They've mostly been killed off or retired and all that stuff. And we've got rumors of what this new Avengers team is going to look like, specifically who the leaders are. And you're talking to me about that is lifelong Marvel Comics fan, Doc. How you doing, Doc?
Apparently I'm better than the fucking Avengers. You don't have to replace me with scabs.
My goodness, yeah, it's not an overwhelmingly impressive list of leaders. Now there have been many different iterations of the Avengers team over time, Doc, and some obviously have worked better than others. None have really worked better than the classic team, where you have Captain America, Thor, Iron Man, pretty much as the heart of the team. Sometimes you'll have a Spider-Man, a Hulk, a character like that in there as well. But we're really apparently not going to have any of that here.
I guess you have a Captain America? But I mean, do we really?
Has there ever been a successful Avengers comic led by Falcon Cap?
No, you haven't had a successful anything with Falcon Cap.
Let's get into these details, Doc. A new report indicates Marvel is moving forward with new leaders for the Avengers, which suggests that the cast we all grew up with now is a relic of the past MCU movies. According to the Marvel Updates Twitter, Falcon Cap, Shuri, and Shang-Chi will be the leaders of the new team of the Avengers. And this feels like an odd choice for many reasons. Shuri never really felt like a fully fleshed out character. She felt like a plot device or deus ex machina whenever she was on the screen. Shang-Chi has only been seen once. He hasn't been successful. That movie actually bombed. And then we've never actually seen Sam Wilson in a movie as Captain America. We are obviously getting the movie coming up. But no one's ever really liked that iteration of Sam Wilson. They like him as Falcon, not so much as Captain America.
Yeah, absolutely. Shang-Chi is already, I mean, what's it been? 2 years since his movie came out, and he's already literally forgotten by even the most hardcore of MCU fans. He's already a forgotten footnote of the MCU. And Shuri, okay, they stuck her in the Black Panther costume, but at the end of the day, she's still basically a sidekick. This is like the sidekick Avengers. And they're trying to make them all into leaders, but everybody here is still seen as a sidekick or a footnote. If you're aiming for sub-Z-list Avengers, I mean, I guess you're on the right track.
Yeah, there isn't a whole lot to work with anymore, Doc, because a lot of them just aren't around. Because to be fair, most of the original cast of the team have moved on already. Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans were the first to abandon their roles as Tony Stark, Iron Man, and Steve Rogers, Captain America. Scarlett Johansson has also retired from Marvel. That leaves Thor, played by Chris Hemsworth, Hulk, played by Mark Ruffalo, and Hawkeye, Jeremy Renner from the original cast. Although you could consider Elizabeth Olsen, Scarlet Witch, also be an original cast member, but she technically died at the end of Doctor Strange #2. Speaking of Doctor Strange, Benedict Cumberbatch is technically an Avenger too, but his magical threats always seem to keep him busy as well. So there's not a whole lot to work with. The one character I do think that people would probably enjoy is a return to the classic iteration of Thor that we enjoyed in the early days of the MCU. But really, when you think about the characters that they have left and who should headline the Avengers, the only one I can think of, Doc, is Spider-Man.
Yeah, and even that, I don't think that the Marvel Studios and Disney are going to make Spider-Man. First of all, he's still a teenager, regardless, in the movies. And
sure.
Yeah, but they're not going to make him the leader just because they can't make Spider-Man that central to the Avengers when his rights are still technically owned by Sony, and that partnership can end at almost any time.
Yeah, it definitely seems like they put themselves in a really bad position. Obviously, with Spider-Man, they really couldn't control that. They brought him into the MCU, and it only makes sense to maybe highlight him since it felt like his story arc or his character arc was following in the footsteps of Tony Stark, Iron Man, maybe to become the next leader. The other options you have, like hipster dipshit Hulk, that I don't think anyone wants on the team anymore anyway. They kind of ruined that character.
Yeah, because even whenever they went to like Professor Hulk, they made him a hipster douchebag. Instead of more brainy and trying to be that balance. I mean, you could always try really changing Hulk and turn him Joe Fix-It, which would, I think, probably be at least a unique idea.
But he can't be the leader of the Avengers because he's an organized crime.
Yeah, he's a mobster. So you can't make him the leader of the Avengers, but you can have him as central to the team. The problem is Marvel's slate or their available roster for a core Avengers team is very, very, very limited. What are you going to do? Have Ant-Man as...
No, they just made fun of him for an entire movie.
Yeah, you can't. Is Wasp gonna suddenly take over the Avengers? No, she's never even really been an Avenger except for outside of at the end of Endgame. You could start bringing in non-Avengers characters onto the team. A lot of the other characters that are available that have any sort of history with the Avengers are very, very, very forgettable. I mean, what are you going to do? Bring in Dr. fucking Druid and Triathlon next?
I think their best bets are probably Chris Hemsworth in a return to classic Thor if he still wants to even play the character. Obviously, he's done that a lot. And I imagine it's a lot of work getting that bulked up for the movie part. And if he was going to be the new leader of the Avengers, he's probably going to have to be in 4 or 5 more movies. It may be Captain Marvel. They at least positioned her in the movies to be important and powerful.
Let's be perfectly honest. She's a very unlikable star
stop him apparently.
Yes, but he is forgettably unlikable. She's just unlikable.
Unforgettably unlikable.
Yeah, she's unforgettably unlikable. Like we all forget that Simu Liu even exists. We can't, for whatever reason, get away from fucking Brie Olsen. And
Brie Larson. It's Elizabeth Olsen who plays Scarlet Witch.
Brie Olsen's the porn star.
Pervert.
We can't, for whatever reason, get away from fucking Brie Larson.
Originally, supposedly we weren't going to get any more Avengers movies after Endgame. Then I think they saw once you got into Phase 4 that there was really nothing left to sell, and they needed to bring the Avengers back. So they kind of went back on it. It almost feels like that's the only path forward for them is to not have an Avengers team because they don't have any Avengers characters anymore.
Oh, yes, you hit the nail on the head there. They needed to look towards expanding into Fantastic Four and, let's be perfectly honest, the X characters. That was where it looked like they were positioning themselves for the future. They're out of Avengers that actually are marketable Avengers. Every Avenger that's still on the table outside of Thor, and let's be perfectly honest, Thor is not a natural leader for the Avengers. I don't believe
and he's damaged goods after Love and Thunder.
Yes. Not only that, but I don't believe Thor's ever led the Avengers.
The only one I can think of, Doc, it can't be Spider-Man because they don't own the rights. It can't be hipster dipshit, a Hulk. You can't have these other characters that aren't popular. Is it Rhodey? Is he the answer?
Let's be honest. Don Cheadle's pretty up there in age. I don't think he is a big enough star to be the leader of the Avengers.
Well, you hope the star of the movie is the name Avengers, I guess.
Yes, exactly. But you still need those characters that are compelling on screen. And once again, all right, they've decided to make 3 sidekicks the leaders of the Avengers. And what are they going to do? Replace them with a 4th sidekick?
It's not shocking that these 3 will be placed as leaders of the new Avengers team, according to this article. Sam Wilson was indoctrinated as Captain America during the events of Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Now he is getting his first shot at a solo movie as Captain America Brave New World is set for release soon. Shuri officially took over as Black Panther when Chadwick Boseman passed away, and his T'Challa character was given a proper send-off in Black Panther Wakanda Forever. Shang-Chi is arguably one of the strongest heroes in Marvel's continuity, and the character is being named as a leader of the Avengers makes sense as it matches up Liu's most recent comments. I find that one hard to agree with. The actual placement of Shang-Chi as a leader of the Avengers doesn't make sense because he hasn't been involved in anything that's happened.
Well, not only that,
Simu Liu, he's just going to bomb it by speaking to people.
Well, yeah. I mean, yes, because he's incredibly unlikable as well. But the thing is, if you look back at that Shang-Chi movie, he was basically a passenger in his own movie.
He was the sidekick to his sister.
Yes, he had no leader. He displayed 0 leadership qualities throughout that entire film, not to mention the fact that it's incredibly forgettable. Other than him riding a dragon, which made no fucking sense, And because they made essentially an Iron Fist movie and shoved Shang-Chi into the role, does anybody even remember anything about the goddamn movie other than riding a dragon and Ben Kingsley being Ben Kingsley?
Well, you got the Sam Wilson as Captain America. I watched Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and I can tell you, as soon as he donned the Captain America outfit, like they lost the charm that Anthony Mackie brought to the role. He became like a completely different character. And he's like lambasting the senator after the blip. And it's like, you should be able to fix this. And it's like, I don't know, man, this feels pretty complicated. Half the world disappeared for 5 years. When they came back, they wanted their stuff back. And then the freeloaders that were in their houses that stole all their stuff didn't want to give it back. It doesn't feel like there's a really clear black and white answer on that one. And this guy's just like lambasting everybody as if he has the answers to everything, even though he never actually gives one to anything.
Exactly. The minute he puts on the Captain America themed version of a Falcon costume, because that's what it is, it's not a Captain America suit, he became a completely different character, and he stopped being the character anybody liked. And then he turned into a character that nobody liked. If there's anyone left from the original run that probably was actually set up to be the replacement Cap, it should have been Bucky. And you know what? He would be a natural fit as one of the next leaders. Bucky
I don't know, man. That guy was an assassin. You never know. There might still be some programming in there. Somebody says something, with the wrong order. Next day, he's murdering the president.
I understand.
He's a little bit of a loose cannon, Doc. I wouldn't want him to lead anything.
Yeah, but you'd have Rhodey right next to him to be watching over him. I feel like that's the way they should have gone. Rhodey and Falcon being basically the ones right next to him, keeping an eye on him to make sure he doesn't turn bad again, but otherwise following him. That's the way they should have gone with this. And it actually would have felt more real.
I don't know. And the Shuri thing is Black Panther. I thought they were going to recast T'Challa. I think everyone's kind of waiting for that. No one wants to see Shuri as Black Panther. I saw her in the suit. I don't think the actress is all that compelling. She doesn't have a lot of charisma or screen presence. And when she's in the suit, she doesn't look like a superhero. It looks like a kid wearing a costume because she's too little.
Yes, Letitia Wright, whatever you think of her as an actress, as a person, she is tiny, and she's like a 90-pound woman wearing the Black Panther costume, and she doesn't even have that weird flower power. All she is wearing a metal-laced suit. She doesn't scream Black Panther to me. And yeah, as far as I'm aware, I was pretty certain they had already announced, yes, we're recasting the Black Panther, but we wanted to give it a movie to kind of breathe.
Yeah, so I think they're just screwed in a whole lot of ways, Doc. Like, there's probably no right answer here other than not to make another Avengers movie, which could obviously happen. It doesn't sound like with whatever's happening with the actor that's supposed to play Kang, I think his name is Jonathan Majors, like maybe Kang won't be the way forward, and they'll have to lean more into Fantastic Four and X-Men as the driving forces of the MCU rather than this next inevitable team up of Avengers. It's going to be really disappointing and not make any sense.
Yeah, if you were going to bring back the Avengers, you do it after Fantastic Four, after X-Men, after Blade, after all the other, cosmic, mutant, and mystical sides of the MCU fail to take out whatever the big bad is, and you go through some multiversal Avengers so that you can recast Cap, Iron Man, Thor.
You want to do Avengers Forever? I'm kind of for that. Not the one that we have now, but the one from like 10 years ago.
Yes, exactly.
Or more like 20 years ago.
Yeah. Yes, you do something like Avengers Forever that allows you to kind of reset yourself without a reboot, and there, you've solved your problem. But right now, trying to do what's essentially nothing more than sidekicks become the Avengers, it feels like you're going sub-Z-list. If you wanted a Z-list Avengers, there's been some Z-list Avengers teams. You somehow managed to make it even lamer.
Kevin Feige has his work cut out for him to actually fix the MCU and get it back on track. He has identified some of the problems with writing and maybe not bringing in the best creative people as far as producers and directors and all that. I do not believe that this Avengers team is going to be the answer, but I talk about all this and a lot more about how Kevin Feige was trying to get things under order. It doesn't feel like it's happened quite yet. There's also a link in the video description.